You clearly love kids. Is that why you decided to speak out about what's happening in Gaza, specifically with children?
I think it should be controversial to not say anything.
Did you also, like millions of other Americans, just seeing these horrific, tragic videos?
The idea that caring for a group of children in an emergency situation means you don't care about other children is false.
Are Palestinian children less human than other children? Should we care less about them? I don't quite get where the controversy is coming from.
It's sad that people try to make it controversial when you speak out for children that are facing immeasurable suffering.
I'm sure you have a lot of good people in your lives who are saying to you, just be quiet. It's not worth it. What do you say to them?
Our compassion doesn't have boundaries or borders. We just love kids.
Why do you feel this urge to speak out for Sudanese kids and Haitian kids, and right now, obviously, the kids who are suffering most in the world, the Gazan kids?
Silence wasn't a choice for me.
Whether or not you have toddlers, by now chances are you've heard about Miss Rachel, the children's educator who's taken the world by storm. With more than 14 million subscribers on YouTube and billions of views worldwide, Miss Rachel has become a superstar in children's entertainment, teaching them everything from how to sound out syllables to learning more about their emotions. But Miss Rachel has not just garnered attention for her educational videos, she's become an outspoken advocate for children in Gaza who've been displaced, starved, injured, and killed in their thousands, more than 15,000 in Israel's offensive. After speaking out about the plight of Gaza's children, Miss Rachel has been thrust into the center of some very unfair online controversy. And I'm delighted to say she joins me now. Rachel, thanks so much for joining us on the show. And I feel like I should introduce you as Rachel Accurso, your actual name.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful pronunciation.
I butcher everyone's names, so it's good. I'm just going to go with Miss Rachel, it's safer now. Before we get to Gaza, I've got to say, every parent who found out that I was interviewing you today, everyone I know, friends, family, who found out, Miss Rachel? I said, I'm interviewing Miss Rachel. They went crazy in a way that I've not seen people in my community, in my friends and family. I mean, I've interviewed Hollywood celebrities, world leaders. But when I said your name, I've not had a reaction like that. People are like, what, can I come? Can I be there? Can I see her? How have you become such a global phenomenon for kids and their parents in such a short space of time? Just the last decade?
It was truly by accident, but I'm so privileged to be able to connect with so many little ones, and I just love my job. But we actually, when we started, we didn't know that so many kids watch YouTube.
Yeah.
I grew up with just regular TV, and we had like this thing where you turned it and you had like 3 channels. So I didn't know so many kids watched on YouTube, but I did know that I had trouble finding resources for my son, and he's such a visual learner. I thought that some of the things I was learning to help him would benefit other little ones. And I had him watch the show.
You say by accident, so I think you went on YouTube in 2016, a YouTube channel. So were you thinking that, okay, this is the best way to get to other kids, YouTube is the way forward?
No, I didn't know that. I just thought maybe I'll help some kids. And
how did you want to help them?
It wasn't like an overnight success. Well, I knew that my son really benefited from a slower paced show. I used to make him his own show. And actually I would take, like, he'd be watching a show he likes, and then I'd edit it and be like, it's mommy here to like teach you something. So anyway, I just knew that these methods I was learning to help him with a severe speech delay would benefit other kids, which are leaving space for them to answer and doing fill-ins like ready, set, go. That really helped him.
Liking this video? Then don't just watch, hit like, share and subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism. You mentioned it wasn't an overnight success. Am I right in saying that the pandemic, the COVID, the lockdowns, that whole period, really, you just ramped up in that period? A lot of people came to find you then in that moment.
Well, I think so. I think people were home,
Schools
and
were
I think
closed.
speech therapy was virtual and it was tough, and some people didn't have access to it. I have to give a shout out to my amazing husband because he was off of Broadway for 18 months, I believe. So we lived in his parents' basement, and we had
The
a lot of.
basement is the best place to produce
It
content.
was bigger than our apartment. So, yes. And somebody was like, I'd love to come to your television studio. And I was like, it's my in law's basement. But yeah, so he had a lot of time and he jumped in. He jumps into all my projects, whether they're successful or when they weren't successful at all. We've always done that for each other. So he used to help me with tracks for teaching music in public school and put everything into it for those kids. And it just hasn't changed. So
You were a school teacher at one point. Just for people who only know you from YouTube, what is your background? Have you always loved working with kids?
I have. So I started when I was 18. I was an assistant preschool teacher at a school for kids with disabilities. And they totally transformed me. I just loved it. I was like, just amazed that I could be excited to go into a job, and seeing their progress was so exciting. And it definitely, my supervisor said in a letter, you have a rare gift that I don't often see with kids. And I was like, oh, wow, like maybe I have a gift for this. And I knew that felt like a calling for me. So I found other jobs working with kids, and eventually I studied to become a certified music teacher. And then I got another master's in early childhood, inspired by my little boy and the show, because I knew if I was going to be this teacher to kids in this crucial time, I wanted to have all the knowledge, early childhood knowledge I could.
And you have 2 kids now.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
My world.
You clearly
Both my worlds.
love kids, not just your own. It's obvious to anyone who's seen you online and now meeting you in person. You have 2 kids of your own. Is that why you decided to speak out about what's happening in Gaza, specifically with children in Gaza, because of what's happening to the kids there?
I do think being a mother makes you put yourself in that situation. And I think my background in early childhood makes me think about that crucial brain development time of 0 to 3. So if you're being malnourished and you're seeing trauma and you're losing your family, that's a really crucial time of brain development. So I think about that. And then I think just empathy for all kids, which I've always had.
A lot of people, I know a lot of people, I've been covering the conflict professionally for 20 years. I've been following it since I was a teenager, something I've been interested in. But a lot of people I know came to the Middle East conflict, came to Gaza, Israel, after October 7th, seeing the horrors of what happened on October the 7th, and then seeing the horrors since. A lot of people came via Instagram, watching social media videos in their feeds of children under the rubble, missing limbs, kids mourning their parents, parents mourning their kids. And I'm just wondering, is it something you followed always, or did you also, like millions of other Americans, come to this via social media, just seeing these horrific, tragic videos in social media?
So I didn't know much before. And I was just horrified by October 7th. And then I just tried to listen and learn. And I still am doing that with friends and people. So I had been working with Save the Children prior. When the show became successful, I got an agent, and my agent was like, tell me about what you want to do. And I was like, I want to be connected to charities, and I want to do work helping children. So I got involved with Save the Children.
Great charity.
Yeah. And I was learning from their team and their CEO about a lot of things going on with children here in the US, food insecurity. I was learning about the Congo. She had just come back from there, and they asked me if I wanted to have a meeting with her, and I wanted to learn about that. And I just asked, like, what is a day like for kids there? And then she was in Gaza, and she came back, and they said, would you want to meet from her and hear what it's like for kids there? And I was like, definitely. So I heard from her, and I knew she was there, and she was describing what was happening firsthand. And then, of course, I did see the distressing, horrific images online. And of course, certain ones just stick in your head and you just think about your own children. And so silence wasn't a choice for me.
Dare I ask, is there an image that does stick in your head? I interviewed Gary Lineker, who's a very famous footballer in the UK, and not a political person. And he's been speaking out a lot, and he's been criticized for it. And I remember interviewing him, and he said, I just sit on my own sometimes watching videos. I sit and cry, and I thought, wow, this kind of footballer, somebody you see is it's very emotional. I just wonder, I know there are things I've seen that I will never be able to unsee since in the last 18 months. I just wonder, was there one particular thing about a child? I don't know. I know you've posted about a lot of individual children.
Definitely.
But before you started posting about children reaching out, I do want to come to some of the children you've connected with. But I'm interested in that moment in those few months after October 7th when our feeds were just crazy. I'm just wondering, as someone who's just an ordinary American, not Miss Rachel, the YouTube creator, was there something that just stopped you in your tracks?
There are multiple that I can't forget. There was a little boy who was really shocked and he was shaking, and his eyes were there was so much terror in his eyes, and a healthcare worker was being so compassionate, and you see that compassion, and he finally was able to cry because he was just so shocked he couldn't even cry. And then Hind Rajab's voice on the phone.
Yes. I'll
never forget. And I know some people can't even listen because it's so hard, and I think that's so understandable, but as just, her voice, and a little boy who was staring at the wall who had lost his whole family and just was staring. And then there was a child in like a rainbow onesie, and my daughter has a rainbow onesie, and I had to give it away because, you just see that and it just doesn't make any sense, because as grown-ups, we know what children need and what they deserve and what will help them grow into happy, healthy adults. And it will benefit us all. It's right to speak out because this is wrong, but it's also right to speak out because it's going to benefit everyone.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question. I had a friend of mine recently, I was talking to him, and he said his daughter got married and he was at the wedding, and he said, all I could think about at the wedding was we're all enjoying and having great food and what's happening in Gaza, the way they're suffering. And I think about someone like yourself, and I've had the same experience as my wife. We've all had, we go to work, you come home, you think about all the stuff you've been covering. You work with kids. That's literally what you do. You entertain children, you make them laugh, you help them potty train, you see them at their most vulnerable. And you're doing that on YouTube. And then at the same time, you're speaking out and sharing videos and talking about, I think you wished, I saw a post of yours recently where you actually, it would have been Hind Rajab's birthday. You're doing that at the same time. I'm just wondering how you're doing both.
It's not easy, but I always think about what's going on over there, and then it becomes just something you have to do. As a teacher, you care about all kids, and I think so many years of teaching, you just see them all as so similar. They all love to laugh, and they love to learn, and they love to play, and they deserve to play. And they have human rights, and so you see them as so similar.
You mentioned Hind Rajab, which is one of the most shocking stories of the last 18 months. But you haven't just posted about Hind Rajab. I believe you've been in contact with her mom.
Her mom messaged me. It's crazy that with Instagram, people can message you. And so
I think that's how we first connected.
Yes, and I was delighted. It's crazy how on Instagram you can connect with moms, and actually little kids message me too. And I had one recently who lost her parents and siblings. She just has grandma.
Where?
Gaza.
In Gaza.
And she sent me a voice memo, and she's like, Miss Rachel, can you stay with me? I don't have my family. And I voice messaged back like, I'm here, of course. Thanks for reaching out. And
you shared some pictures on your Instagram of meeting with a little girl from Gaza who came to see you.
Yes, Rahaf.
Rahaf. Tell us about Rahaf.
Rahaf I wish everyone in the world could meet her. She's so delightful. I gave her some gifts, and I gave her like a box of rings, and right away she put one on me and everybody who was around. She was like, okay, here's one for me. Now I'm going to give one to everybody. She has the best laugh. You know, when your children laugh, and their laugh is so cute, and she was squealing. And so like we all started laughing because she was just so cute. And she falls a lot. She has 2 prosthetics, and she falls a lot. And I asked her host family and her mom through a translator, you know, do you guys kind of spot her, or do you just let her fall? Because I know kids love to be independent. We all know kids are like, I want to do it myself, all by myself. Like every kid says that. So they're like, no, just let her run around, and you don't have to spot her or anything. So she would fall like on her face, and then she'd just pop up and want to hop like a bunny. And she was just so precious, and she was a vivid example of how when children have what they need, medical care, healthy food, support, they're going to thrive, and they're so resilient. And then somebody asked her mom what she wanted to say to me, and her mom talked a lot about her mental health improving with the show. And then I was shown pictures and videos of her in Gaza, you know, on a hospital floor, and then her just kind of staring into space, looking down, and you can see the effect on her physical and mental health. And so you see, okay, we know what's not right for children, and now we see what is, and we can see it through images and video of her. And I told her mom, like, she's so bright, and she's just gonna do great. Like, she's just, you know, she's so worried about her. And the difficult thing is we're so joyful and hopping like bunnies and laughing so hard. And then Isra, her mom, grabs her phone and has her little boys on FaceTime. And her boys are adorable. I think they're around age 7 and 9. And they're in Gaza. And here I am, like, thinking, like, trying to be sweet and talk to her boys in, like, the Miss Rachel voice. But I'm also like, what if my son was over there and my husband, and then I'm here with my little girl losing her legs? And then I'm thinking about the boys, and I was asking if there's any way they can come here. And this wonderful woman was saying, because I was asking kind of her to, she was translating, and I said, is there any way for them to come here? And she was saying no. And she was saying they don't eat anymore on FaceTime with them. Sorry.
No, it's a horrific situation.
And then the translator, I remembered she had said, like, thank you for seeing our children as human, when I had spoke out before. And so I want those little boys to have everything my little boy has. And their mom's a teacher like me. She's a math teacher.
Wow. So
we're both teachers, and our children are our world. A friend recently told me about a quote from Jewish text, which is, every life is a universe. And I wrote that down. I just thought it was so beautiful.
I mean, it's just basic empathy, humanity. It's crazy that's become controversial.
Yeah.
And you have spoken out about kids in Gaza. I've seen you speak about in Sudan. You mentioned the Congo a moment ago when you first started working with Save the Children. Mm-hmm. You've posted about kids from Israel who were taken hostage and killed horrifically. You've posted about all these things, but when you speak out about kids in Gaza, Palestinian children, some people, I should say a minority, go crazy. They think it's somehow controversial, it's divisive. And you said the word humanity. Are Palestinian children less human than other children? Should we care less about them? I don't quite get where the controversy is coming from. What you're doing is just so human.
it's sad that people try to make it controversial when you speak out for children that are facing immeasurable suffering, the largest cohort of child amputees in modern history, that acronym for a child who has no surviving relatives. Yeah. And I think it should be controversial to not say anything.
You mentioned silence and how you really need to speak out. It's weird not to speak out. I'm sure you have a lot of good people in your lives, well-meaning friends and family, who are saying to you, just be quiet. It's not worth it. Think about yourself and your career and your family and your say, just shh, don't go there. A lot of celebrities don't say anything about this stuff. What do you say to them?
Well, I say, what would you want someone to do if you were there? Because as a mother, I met Isra, Rahaf's mom, and if I was there and she was here, what would I want her to do? And that's why I want to talk about Rahaf all I can and the boys, because I have empathy. And I do also have the peace of God, which our show is not religious. And I just, in my own life though, I have the peace and strength of God that I feel. And so when things are like a roller coaster, I was on the roller coaster of this career. And I was on the roller coaster of the people saying you're wonderful, and then people saying those other things and accusations, and I was on that roller coaster. And I did step off, and now I kind of watch it, and I do feel the peace of God, and I just know what is right, and I just have to.
And yet, there is this kind of bad faith, persistent campaign against you. You've been attacked for speaking out about the children in Gaza. There have been hit pieces in right-wing media. There are some pro-Israel groups who've demanded the DOJ investigate you. I've seen that too, which sounds crazy. I just wonder, how does that make you feel? I mean, I'm used to this, sadly. I've been the subject of many hit pieces. What I do for a living, it's kind of like, it's not nice for anyone, but I'm kind of used to it. When I look at what you're going through, I wonder, it's a whole new world you've been pulled into over the last 18 months. How does that make you feel, you and your family, when you see the crap that's said about you by some bad faith people?
I've been shocked and hurt and scared. And the idea that caring for a group of children in an emergency situation means you don't care about other children is false. And I just don't understand. It. As teachers, I was a New York City public school teacher, and I care about every child in my class. I don't care about half of them because of where they were born. I care about all of them. And if some are in an emergency situation, I'm going to say, let's help them. And it doesn't mean I don't deeply care about all of them. And I love learning about their cultures, and something we are taught in education is to have children share their culture and have pride in who they are. And I, as a music teacher, I'm thinking of a concert we did where we did a Hanukkah song, a Jingle Bells type song, Christmas, and we did a Day of Eid song. And the parents in the audience were so happy, and they all felt valued. And that's what teachers do. We love our students. And recently somebody said I was out of my lane for talking about kids' human rights. And I was thinking, I'm an educator. We want our kids to have food. Educators, literally, I follow a lot of educators. They are having snacks in their room for kids that don't have food at home. They are getting a hairbrush, and they are brushing kids' hair at school. So when I saw the little girl on Instagram who, well, she can't brush her hair because of malnutrition, but we don't, our compassion doesn't have boundaries or borders. We just love kids. And I have connected and sat with a family member of whose family is held hostage right now. And I was moved to tears multiple times. It was horrific and harrowing. And I also put myself, as an empathetic person, I put myself in that situation. And it's just horrible.
I've also seen that you posted about the little Bibas kids who, what happened to them in Gaza, horrific. What do you say to people who say, and again, I don't want to make this sound like there's more than there are, but the small minority of people who want to cause trouble, who say that you're anti-Semitic because you want kids in Gaza to be able to eat and play?
It doesn't make sense. It's not true. I'm against any bigotry. And I've seen bigotry. It's horrible, and I'm so against it. The image of Shiri, so terrified holding those boys in like a wrap. That is seared in my mind forever as well. And I thought about them all the time. I just can't imagine what Yarden went through and is going through. And just like I said, things can be really divisive, but I focus on helping all kids.
And just on that note then, to wrap up.
I'm sorry I've cried 18 times. I mean, it's a really sad topic.
It is a sad topic, and I'm sorry to be the guy who's taken Miss Rachel away from the happy YouTube. But as you say, silence is not an option. For those of us who care about humanity, forget the politics. I've interviewed many people about the politics of the Middle East. I have no interest in talking to you about the politics of the Middle East. But I do want to hear from a children's educator and a person who children love. The fact that you're telling me that kids in Gaza are sending you voice memos, that you are looked up to, not just by kids in New York or DC, but kids around the world. And of course, then you're going to speak out for them. That just makes sense. And we admire you for doing so. And I just want to be clear to people watching at home. You've spoken out about Sudan. I know you've posted about Haiti and Mali, right? Again, I'm going to ask a question earlier just to wrap up. Why is it that you feel that you, the YouTube star from New York City, the United States, from Maine, why do you feel this urge, and I say this in a good way, I'm glad you do, to speak out for Sudanese kids and Haitian kids, and right now, obviously, the kids who are suffering most in the world, the Gazan kids?
I do think it's a calling from God. When I was little, I used to ask my mom why kids didn't have food, because we'd see those commercials, and I thought maybe there wasn't enough food. And as I've studied world hunger, realizing that there is enough food, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I've been blessed to have to get this platform, and kids feel that I care about them all deeply, and that's why I have the platform, because they feel it through the screen, because it's genuine, and kids know when things aren't genuine.
Yes.
And that care doesn't end with the kids that are watching or any kids. It's just they feel it. And then early childhood educators are always advocating for kids 0 to 3 because of the crucial time of brain development and the effects that will last a lifetime if kids don't have what they need. And then just my heart and my religious beliefs do come into play, with Jesus saying to love every neighbor, and that everyone's your neighbor, and that when you do things to the least of these, you do them to him, meaning like, people who are poor and oppressed and suffering. So,
well, I, for one, am glad that you're using your YouTube platform
Thank
in this way.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
And I'm just going to say arrogantly, on behalf of our viewers and subscribers, thank you so much. I'm going to speak for everyone watching and say thank you for speaking out. We need more people to speak out. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on your wonderful network.